And now, a workshop of the McAllen City Commission. All workshops are open to the public in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. These workshops allow for detailed staff presentations.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. This is a workshop of the McAllen Board of Commissioners. Today is July 24th, and it's approximately 4:06 p.m. Item number 1 on the agenda is to present questions to staff regarding today's meeting. Are there any questions to present to staff before we begin?
None.
All right, there being none, we go to item number 2, discussion on illegal carports.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, this is an item that was requested by the city commission for us to have a discussion on carports and their permitting and so on. This comes up every few years, and so it's not uncommon for us to bring this item back for discussion. So we wanted to show you what we do now, what we deal with, and see what kind of feedback we get from the city commission so we can bring back information that might be helpful if changes are requested. So, Edgar?
All right, thank you, sir. Well, you took out what I was going to say to begin with, so let's just go to the next one. First things first is basically very simple. Are carports illegal in and of themselves? No, right? Here in the city of McAllen, we treat them like all other structures, which means they require a building permit. And as all the other structures, they need to meet setbacks and need to be out of easements and any other plat notes that are listed on the property. Definitely need to stay out of the right-of-way. So we've established that carports can be legal. So what seems to be the issue? Well, we do have a good number of carports that were built years past and still being built, after 5 o'clock on the weekends that don't have any permits. At its core, no permits means no inspections, which means we can't vouch for the soundness of those structures. Illegally built carports are in violation of both zoning and building ordinances, which require, again, compliance with setbacks and zoning, as well as with building codes. Carports do change the character of a neighborhood. As you drive down, instead of seeing a bunch of front lawns and facades, they literally jut out at you, right? They literally stand out. And so they do change the character of a neighborhood, and they certainly can affect neighbors by draining runoff onto the neighbor's yard, again, changing the character of the neighborhood, which in the long run, it lowers property values and, okay, I'm done. And ultimately just not being permitted for safety, right? We haven't checked to see if they are safe. As you've seen on the PowerPoint slides, these are just some of the illegal carports that we've had to deal with in the planning department. You'll notice that they rarely match the home's aesthetic. You'll also notice that many times they're wider and higher, or taller rather, than the homes themselves. In the left picture, you'll notice that a little bit because of the shade, but really you can't see the home very much anymore. And then the one on the right, you'll notice that there is a perfectly fine 2-car garage after the carport. Here's some more examples. Again, notice the width, notice the height. They are literally dwarfing over the homes that they're attached to. And so, again, this does affect the character. So let's break it down to the simplest terms, right? A violation of an ordinance, any ordinance, is subject to citations. Not getting a building permit is a violation of the building ordinance. Encroaching into setbacks, into easements, definitely the right-of-way, are violations of the zoning ordinance. And so at the end of the day, violations have consequences. How much of a problem is this? Well, for this calendar year, so you're talking about January through July, 70% of our zoning board of adjustments and appeals cases at ZVOA have been on carports. And, this idea that, well, they've been there for years, it's okay, nobody minds. We have had neighbors come out and say, look, I never said anything because I thought they got a permit, and my problem is with the city for allowing it, but not with the neighbor. When they get that zoning board of adjustment notice, they say, wow, there wasn't a building permit here, I'm actually against this. And then they have some unneighborly words in a public hearing, but at the end of the day, there is opposition to it. It's not always a victimless issue. When you build in the city of McAllen without a building permit, you are liable to get one of these. It's a stop work order. It's going to tell you two things. One, There's no building permit on file for your construction. And two, you should probably go get a building permit. Once you apply for that building permit, it will get routed over to the planning department. We will check to see if you're encroaching on setbacks, easements, anything else like that. If you are, we're going to give you a special exception application, and we're going to let you know the same thing I'm going to say right now. There is a $350 fee. No, you're not guaranteed to get it approved, and unfortunately, we do not give refunds on applications that are denied. That's, there was work done, there was advertisements, that's the nature of the game. If, however, you do get your special exception approved, we release the building permit, eventually it gets inspected. If everything's good, you get your CO. So the idea now is, should we just grandfather carports? Should we just let them go? Again, it's structures that aren't permitted, aren't inspected. So their safety to the owner and to the property, and to the neighbors rather, cannot be guaranteed. Illegal carports, as I mentioned before, they do affect the character of the neighborhood and lower property values, again, affecting their neighbors. When we let illegal construction remain, it routinely turns into something else. As you can see in this picture, it used to be just a carport. Now there's some electrical wiring, also without a building permit. They have a grill in there as well, and it's going all the way to the property line. So when we talk about safety, these are the things that we're concerned about. We have, I hope it's a certified electrician, but probably not, because they know to get permits. So they did some wiring, they built the carport. If there is ever a fire, as there's a grill down there, it's gonna be right next to the neighbor's yard. And so those are the concerns that we have. And then ultimately it punishes neighbors who did things correct, who called the planning department, who got the setbacks, who changed their proposal based on those, or on that feedback rather, and they got their building permit. There ultimately is a legal way to get a carport. It may not be guaranteed, I've said it before, and I will continue to say it, but there is a proper way to doing things. And by letting unpermitted structures remain, again, we're punishing those who did things the correct way and just letting people get away with stuff that they really shouldn't. So that's what I have, certainly open to discussion. Yeah.
From the pictures you showed at the beginning, how many of those were permitted? To get an idea of what is getting allowed?
Of all the pictures in the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
I want to say about 2/3 of them ultimately got approved.
So like the very first picture that had a sign, I saw or a sign up front, right? So
That one-
that one got approved?
That one got denied, sir.
That one got denied.
Yes, sir.
Did they take it down?
They did.
The next page?
That one, I believe, got approved. The one on the right got denied. The one on the left got cut down, but it was approved. As you can see that there's some green area on the right side, so they basically did it all the way just to the pavement.
Okay.
Edgar, does it usually get denied when they're encroaching into setbacks and easements, or?
ZBOA, sir, does a really good job of considering everything about the proposal. So if it's an old area of town where there aren't any garages, not that they enclose them, but rather they just weren't built back in the 70s and 60s, and if it's, a one-car garage or just a two-car carport rather, they take that into consideration, and sometimes they approve them. If there is kind of like the one on the right where there is a garage there, and they straight up say, look, I use it for storage, or I enclosed it because I had another kid, I didn't think I was going to have one, so now it's a bedroom, they tend to deny those. So they weigh everything about the application on a case-by-case basis.
And how long does it take for them to, the process for, for them to finally get an answer of, eliminate it or cut it or?
Because of notice requirements, it usually takes a month. It can take up to 6 weeks, but we try to be as swiftly as possible so they can get their answer. Yeah.
So it's before 3 months? So
Yes, sir.
it's-
Yeah,
You
before
can't do
3 months.
anything faster than that? Okay. That's fine.
Edgar, there was a carport, the one before that. Would it still pass today? I know that we've changed the carport requirement as far as the width. Looks like it's a little wider
Yes, so a couple of meetings ago, you guys changed it to 400 square feet max. This would not have passed, no, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bigger than 400 square feet.
I guess it was a timing thing.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
But all of these ones would be like grandfathered. Right?
What do you mean
There
grandfather?
are no grant.
Yeah, right now, we're not grandfathering.
Whatever is already built,
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they don't have to meet the 400 square foot requirement, yes, sir.
just make sure, okay.
Yeah,
So if they went through the process,
they went through the correct process.
and at the time, there wasn't that ordinance. Okay, so, got it. Any other questions? You looking for any direction?
Either maintain the course and, try to help people with special exceptions, but at the end of the day, if they get denied, they get denied. There was a thought of grandfathering a bunch of them. I mean, I certainly don't recommend that, but that's the direction that I'm looking for. Keep the course or try to do something else.
Any thoughts on the matter?
Definitely not grandfathering, because then what you're really doing is you're removing recourse for surrounding neighbors and other people.
Whatever went to the courts and through the process, yes. but-
Well, that's the status quo,
See.
keeping it as what
Keep
they're
it.
doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's very appropriate.
Do we know how many companies are out there installing carports?
Not a lot of time. A good number of times, it's not companies, sir. It's cousin Chuyito, cousin Pepito, who knows how to do stuff, which partly explains why they didn't get permits.
But I mean, it still requires steel, and you've got a corrugated metal roof. I mean,
Correct.
certain levels, skillmanship, even in the ugliest ones.
I think it's more of a handyman sometimes versus a bona fide contractor.
But you do go inspect?
Building permits, let's go inspect if they get a permit and if they get approved, yes, sir.
I'm for staying the course.
So just keep ZBOA busy.
Great.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, next item,
Thank you.
presentation on expansion to the McAllen Heritage Center.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, we had this discussion during budget last year. There is a desire by the board of the Heritage Center and the executive director to expand the building that we have downtown. It serves a very unique purpose for us in the community, and they have a lot of visitors. And so the request last year was for the city of McAllen to help them in the expansion. And after some deliberation, what the city commission decided was to fund the amount of money they needed to design the project, and then come back and see, what the feeling was. There was discussion about partnering, right, between the city and the Heritage Center, and donations so that the city wouldn't take the brunt of the entire cost. And so we wanted to give you status so that we can again discuss it during budget this coming year. So we've got the executive director, and I think you had the architect here, or?
I got Danny here. I don't know if you'd like to come up here, but he'd be here
Board
to answer
members?
any questions. Do you want to pass these out? These are the third floor. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Eduardo's going to run the slides that you all received in the package, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Roy, staff, for allowing us to be here to give you an update. I do have some slides, some updated slides for you. What was not included in that is the third floor rendering, which is really what we're trying to go for at this point, because we have found that because of the growth of the museum, the need for safe storage and extra presentation area, we just need the 3 levels. So if we can run the slides, Eduardo. And I'd point out that I have our board chair, John Kreidler, and our architect, Danny Boltinghouse, here with me today. Well, I think we're going to pass it. This is a video. If you're not familiar, you should be. But this is just a video of what's there now. We can probably go to the next slide, because we couldn't get the video to work anyway. I think everyone here is pretty well aware of the accomplishments of the museum. We founded the museum in 2006, and we have grown significantly since then and increased our footprint in the area where we're at. We entertain about 20,000 people a year in various ways through field trips, tours, outreach, and other activities. We have many, many activities that we bring in. We're really working hard to bring in rotating exhibits to keep the content of our museum fresh, and as well of what we have permanently, which is a history of McAllen. And that has really added to attendees coming to the museum and reviewing us. And so we've been getting very positive reviews. We were able to acquire full use of the building in 2012, filled it up very quickly, and then we moved forward to do some, again, very much needed renovations in 2019, which we celebrated in 2020, again, with the assistance of the city. And so that resulted with another 400 or so square feet of usable space, a new boardroom, and also new facilities, restrooms and storage and HVAC facilities, and a laundry room. So this will just show you where we're at in the downtown area, right in the corner of Chicago and Main. That is the original building that was built in 1934 as USPO. Then followed by that, it served many purposes, federal offices, et cetera, before we moved in 2008. So we realized as tenants that we had a huge responsibility and honorable responsibility as stewards of the facility. So we secured 2 grants very early in our existence. Those grants were limited to use to beautify and improve the building, which we have put those funds to use there in window replacement, roofing, and many other new front doors, interior wall repair, exterior, et cetera. We did a renovation of the south area, which is now rededicated as La Placita Park. We use it for many festivals. We commissioned a mural that was circa rendering of a 1934 postcard that says "Greetings from McAllen." You see those in many large cities where you have the large name of the city with iconic drawings of buildings, including City Hall. And it's a picture place, and people really love taking their picture there, and then we encourage them to share it, especially our winter tourists that come to the museum. That's been very, very successful. We lit up the exterior of the building. It's a very beautiful building, and if you haven't been downtown at night, you need to. It lights up, and it's a very beautiful sight to see, and very honorable for this historic building. That is just a site viewing the building as it is today from the corner of Chicago, viewing towards the front of the building elevation. When we completed the renovations of the south end of the building in 2019, we immediately started talking about the fact that we were out of room and safe space for our collection. One of the things we don't want to do is turn away any, potentially good donations that are going to increase our value as we tell the story of McAllen's history. So we got our heads together and started doing some drafting and discussions as to where and how we would make this become a reality. And so, we did the concept and did some schematic drawings. The preliminary use, which is really not preliminary, we've worked very hard on the uses. First floor, new public galleries for expanded museum exhibits, reception area. Second level, additional gallery, presentation area, fire vault, and restrooms and staff area. The third level would serve as additional workspace where we create exhibits where we do need some large space and more collection storage. And that's, can't say enough how important that is for us, because we have to protect the items we get, which cannot be replaced in many cases. So, the presentation area can be used in conjunction with our local school districts to present topics for the kids that come in on field trips. So the use, there's one more item as far as we've been asked to consider bringing over the rail exhibit that's currently in Hidalgo. They want to come inside. I haven't made them any promises because I can't, but I will tell you that that is a beautiful exhibit of the model trains that really, in effect, caused the creation of our city back in 1904. And people, children, families really enjoy those. Back when we used to do them at the Palm Fest, Fiesta de Palmas, they were with us every year. The issue we have with that exhibit is the size of square footage that they would take, but they certainly need us, and I think we really would love to have them. That's a problem that we'll need to decide later. A good problem to have. Site plan, updated site plan is in your package, and I think all of you all have taken a look. There's a preliminary rendering. We did pass around what it would look like if we went to the third level structure, which we really are proposing. So on the last slide, I will just tell you that one of the biggest challenges we've had since we started working on this project was, we're looking at 175 a square foot back in 2018, 2019, and that price has gone up. As you all know, the cost of construction has steadily gone up. There may be some stabilization, but then there's chain of, as far as being able to provide the materials, it's very difficult right now. There's many things happening in the world that cause that to happen. So right now, we're looking at anywhere from $240 to $250 per square foot. For the two-level building, we'd be looking at 4,000 square feet of about 960, or the three-level building, or the preferred building, 1.4, 6,000 square feet. The cost for furniture, fixtures, and equipment is not included because our board has pledged to take that cost on. And we will fundraise with a proposal to bring in all fundraising and dedicate it back to the city. The big issue here today is we are requiring that the commission would consider an upfront commitment to the project. And then we will start immediately to do the community fundraising, capital outreach that we need within the community. And of course, one of the things we need is also we're going to need to seek and find a grant that would help us fund the project. It's a very needed project for the downtown area. It'll continue to beautify and bring integrity to downtown. It's a beautiful and thriving area of McAllen that we all need to go to and appreciate more because it's so historic in nature. A lot of the people that come to the museum are just, they ooh and ah, and they say, wow, I've never been here, I've never seen this. So I believe we're reaching the people that we need to, and it's been a big success to date. We did receive approval. We went out to the Texas Historical Commission last year concerning the addition. They assured us, they gave us approval that they did not need to be part of it because it's not going to be attached to the building, rather a detached addition. And so we have no issue with that. We did go before the city council as well, and I believe we presented the two-level structure, and I understand that we can certainly go back and Edgar, if he's here, can certainly take that rendering with you. So the design phase is expected to be completed in about September, with hopefully the bidding process to follow in early 2024. Depending on the funding commitment that we seek, we estimate that construction could commence in late spring 2024 with an 8-month completion of construction period. So with that, I will entertain any questions you might have for us today. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Soda. Any comments, questions?
Just the 20% that Heritage Center is committed to raising, would that be private, or are you talking about a mix of private and grants?
No, I mean, that is our goal, and I think over and above that, if we can identify some grants in addition, Sebi, that would be extremely preferable.
Okay, so if you committing
Which
to that,
I don't believe we've done that yet.
raising it privately, you'd be able to raise it by the time you start construction.
That would be our intent, certainly, to do that.
But
And
what happens
so
if,
the way I would look at it, if hypothetically, we talk about 1.5 million, and we come in with our 20%, we would commit that, dedicate that back to the city, so you wouldn't fund that 1.5. It would give that, we would put that in.
That's what I'm saying, but if we got into budget season and we funded 80% of it, and that 20% wasn't raised, and construction has to commence, there's, the question then arises, how does it get completed?
Well, again, with an upfront commitment that would be in place, we would make every effort to come up with that amount and plus grants. And then if we don't have the full amount, we would continue fundraising and give that back to you. So, if you had to fund,
So you're saying you would like the city to commit to 100%?
right now,
with
yes.
The expectation that 20% would get returned, ideally closer to the start, right? But could maybe come during
Yes,
the
sir.
course of the project or later.
Exactly.
Can you go over the use of the floors? I know it's in the presentation, but I think it's important to talk about it. It's my understanding that the first and second floor will be used for presentation of material, right?
Yes.
And the third more for administrative. Can you just
Well,
kind of elaborate?
one of the big changes will be that right now we have a presentation room right in the middle of the museum that's not really, it's not the best scenario for us. So we do plan to move that area into the new building. And with that, we would putting in state-of-the-art equipment to show the various videos that we have produced about our history. If I came back from New York City, going to the New York City Museum of History, and I was just so impressed with what they've done there. They have a wonderful presentation room. It's ours compared to ours. We need to change that. So once we do that, we will have room in the building to possibly consider other things. Maybe the rail display. We're talking about 1,200 to 1,500 square feet of rail. But again, that is so important to us because we know it's a big hit with families and it's a huge historical story. So one of the things would be a presentation room, Omar, which would be flexible. So we could also use it for receptions, which we have many receptions at the museum, and many of you have been in attendance. We will need to build some more. We're building more collection area that's going to be able to protect those artifacts that we take in, because anything we don't protect is basically going to deteriorate. So at this point, we're at the point really where we're not accepting anything of any particular size. We're putting things on hold for that reason. So workspace is very important as well. We have some staff members that don't have a place to work. So that area is going to be real important because it'll be flexible. And then another gallery so we can develop some more exhibits for the things that we can't show, which are currently in a closet. And so we want to bring those to light. We just don't have the room anymore.
So any kind of furniture, fixtures, equipment would be would be purchased by the center, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They're gonna have two type of fundraising, one for the fixtures and another one for the building and the reimbursement of the 20%?
Yes, we have had some success already with some fundraising that we were trying to put in a kitty to cover our needs. You know, we want to be able to put in a beautiful presentation room with a proper screening that you know goes with a city like ours. And I know those are very, very expensive, but we are looking at that. But that would be separate from the building fund that we're going to put together.
I think it's very, very important for us to be able to, not only for the adults to go and see, you know, our past history and everything, but also to get and generate interest from our school district and our youth, and of being able to go there, and also maybe have some traveling type of collection to various areas. I think the history, the knowledge is extremely important. We're only going to get older in this city, and that's the beauty of it. But we have to remember where we came from and where you know, how our growth happened. And I think it's very important. History is extremely important. But I also want to get involved in to try to get you know, resources from our community. A little more into that.
Well, we're gonna need help on that for
yeah,
sure.
I think IMAS, you know, has a purpose, a very important purpose, and I think the history of our city is another important purpose. So we can't take any decisions.
Thank you for
in a
that.
workshop. but
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I will point out that we have made some very good partnerships with UTRGV, the CHAPS program, with Humanities Texas,
Yeah.
with the RGV Veterans Photo Project, with Valley Land Fund, and looking at others. So that's very important to, and Museum of South Texas History, of course.
And using their students and using STC, UTRGV, and now A&M, you know, maybe, you know, get some of their students to help you
Yes.
at the museum.
Yeah, and to the extent that we can help with grants that the city of McAllen goes after and tries to get approved, I think that's something that we can help with.
Thank you. Yeah, I
don't
think
know
Roy and I
if-
had discussed that getting some help with grants.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been much effort yet, but I think that we can. I don't know how much time that we have between now and the time that you start building and what the lead time is on some of these grants, but I'd imagine that it does take some time to find them, to procure them. At any rate, there could be a timing difference. Are we looking for some direction here as far as dollar amount or?
No, sir.
Okay.
I wanted Elva and her board to have an opportunity for this presentation. So we talk about it in budget. I mean, I think we
Okay.
still have to determine, how much we expect, whether it's 20% or some other number, and then the timing of the funding. We also talked about that when I met with Elva last week or 2 weeks ago. Maybe we could break it up in 2 fiscal years, because it's not a small number. So all those decisions, I think, can wait until budget, probably the more appropriate venue for that.
Okay.
But give us time to get some grants on brick and mortar. There's a couple out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Suggestions?
Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Danny. For all your input, Daddy.
Okay.
Appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
All right, I'll call this meeting adjourned.
This concludes the workshop of the McAllen City Commission. Workshops are held every second and fourth Monday of the month, convening at 4 p.m. at the McAllen City Commission chamber on the 3rd floor at McAllen City Hall.
Little did I know that that would open up the doors for me to work with the really medically fragile children with neuromuscular issues, and that opened the door for not just to open up my own business, but now travel the world. I just got back from Santiago, Chile last week, but travel the world to teach other people on how to help children that with special needs.